Okay, so the story of how I met your dad is really basically I was born in America and my parents were from an island in Greece. So when we were the age where we could travel, let's say and they wanted to visit, we would spend the summers there. So it was really just we spent maybe 2 or 3 summers there. But because I knew the language and I was, I liked meeting the kids that were there, I hung out a little bit more than maybe some other kids that were visiting from Australia or Germany or Africa or somewhere. They might stick together, but I did meet what we call the locals. We used to call, amongst us tourists, we said the locals, we called them. But so I had a friendship with your dad. Oh, and actually, there's a funny story here. My parents did try to move back to Greece when I was only 2 years old, and your aunt and uncle were, we were all under 10, 3 kids under 10. But they tried to make a go of it, and it was in 1969. And to make that long story short, they didn't stay. They stayed 2 years. My mother didn't like it, and she wanted to actually move back to America. She found it really hard to live there after having lived in America with all the nice things that you can have here, the ease of life versus on a village, and especially with 3 little kids that are running around. So the story is that because you're a bit freer in a village, so you let the kids go out and play amongst each other. And I ran home one day, and your dad, who was just a year older than me, so if I was 2 and he was 3, I don't know how far away I could have been from home, but apparently it was far enough where he threw a rock and it landed on my head, and I must have had a scratch because it was bleeding. And so apparently I ran home, and my mom was so mad that he went up to she went looking for him, and she spanked him. And to say the least, that didn't go over well with his mom. But anyway, so many years later, when I was 18, I remember that summer we went to Greece, and I met your dad, having already somewhat remembered him from when I was 14 when I was there. And he was just, one of the kids in the group that we hung out with, and we developed a friendship. And I remember when, it was just a friendship. But then when I went again 2 years later, he was actually in the army, and he was finishing up he had to go to the army for 22 months. And we hung out a little bit, and maybe a little bit more friends. And then the following year, we had a relationship. And then the third summer, we got married. And we knew we were going to live in America. And that was pretty hard on his parents, that he was going to be leaving, especially because they have one other daughter, and she married at 18 and moved to Central Africa, and she lives in Malawi, and it's been over 30 years now, and she hasn't moved back. So at the time, she was gone about 6 years. So having just 2 children and having your dad want to marry and leave for America was not easy on them. And so we got married anyway and came here. And your dad did not know a lick of English. He knew about 2 words. Maybe 3, I love you. And it was hard, but he was very ambitious, and he was a fighter, and so he tried to learn as much as he could quickly. He wasn't afraid to get in the car and drive around and just, figure things out. And just 3 months into, actually we stayed with your aunt for 2 months, and then we were ready when I got a job and he got a job to get an apartment. And it was sweet, and that was it. And we worked really hard. Okay.